What if the problem isn't you? What if you're in the wrong room? My suspicion? You're not broken and you don't need to be fixed. You've outgrown where you are. Let's get more space and freedom to redesign the life you deserve. Welcome to the Reinvention Room. I'm Allison Hare, podcast launch strategist for ambitious leaders, and we are rethinking everything we've been taught. Part pop culture, part real talk, and all smarter ways to live life on your own terms. What do you do when everything you were raised to believe starts to crack? That's exactly what happened to our guest today, Holly Tidwell. She was deep in the world of Christian fundamentalism. She was married to Jerry Falwell's best friend's grandson. You got that? She was raised in a Pentecostal church and leading in ministry until everything fell apart. The tragic loss of her beautiful daughter, Monroe, broke something open for her, and what followed was a full-on unraveling of faith, identity, and belonging. And now, Holly shares her story with almost 500,000 followers across TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook as Hope with Holly, where she talks about religious trauma, healing, parenting a transgender son, relationships and dating when you're older, and finding your own voice. This episode is about the bravery it takes to question what you were taught, especially when it costs you your community. It's raw, it's funny, it's heartbreaking, and full of real talk about what it means to choose yourself when you find your truth. And not to mention, you know, I love to talk about cults, and even more, I love talking to people with the courage to lead them. Holly is a hoot and a real down-home girl that tells the truth. You are going to love her. Now, before we dive in, I want you to text this episode to your friends who love rethinking about what we've been taught. You'll have hours of conversation already built for you. All right, let's jump in. I was laughing. So we are talking to Holly Tidwell. Hope with Holly. Welcome, Holly. I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you, Allison. I'm so glad I can be here. Thanks for having me.
I was laughing my butt off this morning. So I was kind of like down the rabbit hole on your TikTok, and you talk a lot about relationships, but the way you position it was so funny, where you said, you know me, I was a desperate bitch a couple years ago. And once I ran that motherfucker out of my life, and I was like, this girl is awesome.
I am a truth teller, that's for sure.
You are. And we kind of got connected because you have a really remarkable story. You have been through so much, but I figure we could start a little bit at the beginning about what life was like growing up for you. What does spirituality look like growing up for you in your home?
Oh, well, I grew up white trash trailer park, very dysfunctional childhood. Both of my parents have been married 3 times. There's a lot of, even in extended family, drug use, domestic violence. I think we were evicted 13 times, growing up. There was a lot of insecurity, instability, but the one constant thing was church. And I loved church because I grew up in this like Assemblies of God Pentecostal church where it was like better than going to a football game. There was so much chaos happening, like speaking in tongues, prophecy, people being slain in the spirit. Just church service was 3 to 4 hours long, but there was always something to see. One time we had this missionary come and he was blind, like one eye was gone, and he covered his good eye and he read the Bible. It was for a child. I was like, this is awesome.
Right. It's like miracles every day.
Yes, it did feel like that. And it also, it felt safe until I was molested by one of the men in the church. Then it started to not feel so safe. I felt shameful about that. But
What did you tell anybody about it? Like, how old were you?
I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, and I told my
Oh,
mother. It was her best friend's son. Uh, he was about 20 years old at the time. Um,
wow.
yeah, they left four little girls downstairs with a 20-year-old man to watch TV. Anyway, I told my mom, and we did not hang out with them anymore, but she did not call the police or anything like that. But childhood was very chaotic. It was very traumatic. Uh, and I really held to this Christian belief that God would be my father. God would protect me. If I just believed in God and held on to my faith, God would protect me. I truly believed that. And back then, there was no Google. I couldn't research anything of other different spiritual ideologies or beliefs or even psychology. And so I ran with it. And I ended up uh, attending Liberty University, where I got a degree in biblical studies. And I drank the Kool-Aid girl. I was like, oh my God, I'm attending this university where everybody looks beautiful. Okay, because we had this strict dress code,
Okay.
groom code. Everybody seemed so nice at first, like this is so safe. This is so different from my childhood. I want this. Basically, I went from one side of the road all the way across to the other side of the road. Both
Okay.
both ditches, mind you. But you kind of overcompensate when you don't know better and your brain isn't fully developed. And so I was under Jerry Falwell's thumb and I just adored that man. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't do my research, but he was the leader of the moral majority and he was a Christian nationalist. And that's what he taught us 3 times a week in our convocation sessions, which is we had the whole school had to come to church Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. That was our convocation.
Can you
And
help me understand the difference between the religion you grew up in and Christian nationalism?
yeah, the religion I grew up in was more Pentecostal. The focus was we have these prophets, we have miracles. Let's obey the prophets. Let's look for miracles, perform miracles. Christian nationalism, however, that's a whole different monster. How I grew up, we were still helping the poor. We were still attending food shelters, feeding the homeless and poor people. And of course, we were poor as well, but we were still helping people. And there weren't a lot of gender roles. Everybody was pretty equal, except for the prophets. We had to listen to the prophets, which led to me marrying the man that I married. I had to obey the prophet that told me to marry the man that I married. I was not happy about that. But Christian nationalism, there's no free will in Christian nationalism. They want to make Christianity the law of the land. And I drank the Kool-Aid. I was young, dumb, and excited to be a part of a club, excited to be a part of a community of people that looked like me, believed like me, welcomed me. And, well, to a certain extent, because I am a woman, you know, and
Wow.
that I questioned that a lot. But, I was told as a woman, you have this unique position, this unique gift that God has given you where you get to get married and have children and birth an army for God. It is sacrificial. You are going to sacrifice a lot, but you will be rewarded one day in heaven. And so that's how they keep you, you know, in that belief.
Did you
Women,
feel, if I could interrupt, because I'm wondering, like you are such a vivacious, beautiful, kind of tell it like it is person. Did you feel like that? Has that always been the way? Or did you feel like you were facing resistance, but this felt like a better way for you?
Yeah. Okay. So I went to my guidance counselor at Liberty and said, I want to have my degree in biblical studies. And he was like, well, you're a woman. We don't really have a lot of women in the biblical studies department. And I said, well, yeah, let me share with you some of the fantastic women in the Bible, like Deborah and prophets of the Bible. And he said, well, what denomination are you? And I said, well, I'm Pentecostal. And he said, oh, fine. Okay. If you were Baptist, we would not allow this, you know,
Whoa.
but you're just silly old Pentecostals, because Baptists or these particular Baptist professors, saw Pentecostals as second class citizens that were emotional and not grounded in the Bible. And so I was one of maybe 3 women in the biblical studies department, uh, definitely trying to break through some glass ceilings and challenging authority all the time. Have upset quite a few professors, asking questions and pointing out the hypocrisy. But I was excited to be there. I had a full ride scholarship, so that helped. And I was excited to be there. I was excited to make moves for God and to change the world and help women. I thought, okay, I'll never be a pastor because women couldn't be pastors, but I can be a woman's pastor, a woman's minister. And that's what I'll do. Or I'll be a missionary. I minored in food and nutrition so that I could learn how to cook and so I could travel the world and help people. So yes, I did always push back, but eventually I just walked away.
Wow. So you're drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yes.
It sounds like you went from like a upbringing of complete chaos to one that had structure, it had beauty, it was compelling, it was appealing. People are kind, I'm assuming. It felt like, wow, this feels like living. How do you walk away from that? What happened?
My daughter died. I so I married the man the prophet told me that I was not in love with. That was my bad. I should have been strong enough to say no, but I thought, who am I to, how could I hide from God? He'll find me. I'll get in trouble. So I have to obey and marry this man. And we did the
Wow.
right things. Okay. We didn't kiss until we got engaged. We didn't have sex until our wedding night. And I thought, okay, I'm obeying. I'm following the rules. So I'm going to be okay. And when we waited a few years to get financially secure and stable. And I actually was an abstinence until marriage instructor in Ohio. And I went into public schools and taught kids abstinence. Yeah,
Wow.
I did that, uh, which is crazy and for another podcast. But when I got pregnant quickly, and found out that at her ultrasound, that she had Down syndrome. Now, look, I was excited and happy for that. I have a wonderful Down syndrome sister. And I was like, hell yeah, they are the sweetest people in the world. I'll take it. She was also missing her esophagus. So we knew, like, through the Cleveland Clinic that we were going to have, she was going to be in the hospital for a few months, but everything else looked fine and great. However, when we went, I was in leadership in our church. I forgot to tell you, I married Jerry Falwell's best friend's grandson.
Whoa. So you
So
are in the mix.
in it, yes.
You are
And
in it.
everybody in the family was in church leadership, and we were living in Cleveland, Ohio at the time. And when we found out our daughter had Down syndrome, we went to the pastor of the church, and he was like, you can't tell anybody. If you name it, you claim it. So don't name it. and then you won't claim it. And that started for me like, what the fuck? Like, first of all, I'm not ashamed that my daughter has Down syndrome. I don't care that she has Down syndrome. The missing her esophagus, yes, we want to heal that, but why couldn't I tell people and have them pray for us, you know? And so we were only allowed to go to certain healers. We traveled and went and spoke to multiple healers to get prayer for healing. And everybody said, God is going to be glorified. She's going to be healed. We had prophetic words over our pregnancy that she was going to
Yeah.
be, God was going to be glorified. It was going to go great. And 9 months, 35 weeks pregnant, and she died.
Oh,
And
no.
I had to go through 30 hours of labor and deliver a dead child.
She was stillborn.
Yes,
Oh,
this is her.
can you put it closer? Look how beautiful. Oh,
Yes,
my
she is
goodness.
precious. Her name's Monroe.
Monroe.
And it woke me up. I was angry. That kind of anger and confusion that makes you just question everything. And until that
Yeah.
point, I was led to believe that questioning God was a sin. Questioning religious leaders, the men in our church, was a sin. It was rebellious spirit. I had been called that I had a Jezebel spirit. Basically, that I was possessed demonically,
So
by
just by the virtue of having a child that has Down syndrome that you
by
had
questioning.
somehow right, right.
Yes, I was, considered rebellious for questioning God, because why were these prophets wrong? You know, they all said that she would be healed. Why would God do this to me? I did everything right.
Yeah.
And I did have a relationship with God to the best of my ability. I had devotions every morning and prayer time and fasted and prayed and was filled with the Holy Spirit and spoke in tongues and did all the things. And then tragedy struck. And that's typical for cult members. Look, if everything's going great and your life isn't affected negatively, why would you even question that you're in a cult? So once things started to shatter, I had a miscarriage right after that as well. And I
Hmm.
really thought, like, what is going on? Why am I not, why is God not seeing this and helping me, you know? Because that's what I really wanted from God, for him to be my father. And I learned that God really is not micromanaging our lives, and he is not as involved in our lives as what I really wanted him to be.
Hmm.
And so my girlfriend came to me, and she is the cousin of a man named Rob Bell. Rob Bell is a very progressive Christian. He's written some books.
Yeah,
And
he's very well known.
yeah, okay, good. So I started reading some of his things, which, by the way, was dangerous, to be listening to a progressive Christian, let alone any
Hmm.
other secular authors. And I started reading other people like Brene Brown. And that really, she really taught me to tap into my authenticity and to not, be afraid to question things and talk about things. Then I had my first child, my first healthy child that lived. And Allison. Now, I don't want to piss people off and offend people, but what I realized was, well, shit, I think I'm a better parent than God is.
Wow.
Like, I love this girl unconditional. Like, I love my child. I would do anything for my child. There's nothing my child could ever do that would make me want to send her to eternal damnation. I would never sit and watch her get tortured. I would never sit and watch her go through terrible pain that I could help assist in. I ended up having 4 children in 3 years.
Wow.
4 healthy children. And I got my tubes tied after that because I was like, I'm done. But being a parent really woke me up to what does a loving father or mother look like? What does a loving parent look like? And that's not what I was seeing happening in my church or in the
Mm.
Bible. And definitely not in our political system. So what I ended up deciding on was, the Bible gives God a really bad reputation.
The Bible gives God a really bad reputation. Help me understand that.
Well, slavery is totally supported throughout the Bible, except with the exception of a few scriptures in the New Testament. Women were seen as property all throughout the Bible. You could kill your kid. You could stone them to death. Take them to the town center if they are disobedient and stone them to death. That's in the Bible. The worst one for me was when the Israelites slaughtered the Midianites in the Old Testament. And they brought back their spoils. They brought back the animals and the women and the children. And God had told Moses, no, you kill them all. Except for the virgin girls, you can take them for yourself. So they then turned and slaughtered all the women, all the boys, even a lot of the animals, and kept 32,000 virgin girls for the Israelites. Could you imagine being a 12-year-old girl, having this army come in, kill all of your family members, take you to a different state, and you're forced to marry an older man who murdered your family?
Mm.
That's the definition of sex trafficking, rape, sex slavery. And that was God's decision.
Wow.
And then I thought more and more about it. And I was like, that's not God's heart. you know, So now I just believe that the Bible was written by men and their experiences with God and who they thought God was and what they thought they should do and should be, with a lot of patriarchal influence.
A lot
So
of patriarchal influence.
I
Yeah.
think the Bible gives God a bad reputation. I think Jesus came to try and change that. I think my personal belief is the only scriptures in the Bible we should be reading are the words written in red. But the whole thing is a story where we can learn some learn about some challenges and learn about metaphorical things and stuff. But to take it literal as I used to take it, like I was the girl that would wake up in the morning and pray to God and ask God, what should I wear today? Like, do I need to wear this teal shirt for this podcast today, or should I wear a pink shirt? Because maybe if I wear the teal shirt, God's going to tell me to wear the teal shirt because that's Allison's favorite color, and she's going to be more inclined to open up to me, and it's going to be this whole God thing, right? Like, that's
Yeah.
how I was.
Hey, it's Allison. Thanks for listening. My guest today, Holly, changed her life and so many others when she decided to share her story on a public platform and has been able to connect with hundreds of thousands of people. And that's what podcasts do best. They move people to think differently, to make changes, to connect deeper. So if a podcast has been sitting on your to-do list and you're not sure where to start, I'm offering a free clarity call for you. Let's get your message out of your head and into the world. Go to AllisonHair.com/free call. Your future audience is out there. Talk to them. But did you feel like this was like you kind of awakening to this new realization, to these questions? did you feel like your world was destabilized? Did you feel like you were betrayed? Did you feel like you were being empowered? Like, I couldn't imagine just the level of deceit for having your values that you were raised with. All of a sudden, are they? Like, do you trust yourself? Do you feel like you are? This is like a compound question. I'm actually doing what you should not be doing in a podcast, which is asking way too many questions.
Oh,
But my goodness,
girl,
where are you in this
it was
moment?
grief. It was immense grief. Grief compounded by the fact that I lost my child. I'm grieving my child, grieving
Right.
the second child that died as well. And really grieving my belief system, my job, my friends, my whole world was centered around the Bible. And to have that come crumbling down with all my family members who were I remember sitting at the dinner table telling my father-in-law and brother-in-law and sister-in-law and mother-in-law, that's who we lived near, I'm going to start questioning things, and I hope they support me on this journey. And my father-in-law and brother-in-law were pissed. They jumped off of the table, called me a heretic, couldn't even sit at the table with me. They were very upset that I was questioning. So I had to grieve. I lost a lot. I lost a desire to continue to work where I worked, to be involved in the church. I lost friendships. To this day, I have people from my old church find me online and send me messages, how
Hmm.
disappointed they are in me. I lost a lot. But, you know, my mom was a strong woman. Despite the fact that she was also deeply in the religion, she never fell for the women can't be leaders, aren't strong women aren't powerful and shouldn't have voices. So I do have to say that I am very grateful that she always had a voice and taught me to have a voice and to speak my truth. And I just dug in and started learning and studying. And I read all
What were
these
you
parent.
studying? What are you studying?
At first, I'm just reading parenting books. Okay. At first, I'm reading parenting books, which taught me what a good parent should be, because I grew up with dysfunctional parents.
Yeah.
Um, and the parenting books were really a stepping stone for me to realize what love is, you know, which led me to starting to read psychology books, you know, parenting psychology books and stuff, and which led me, to Brene Brown. And then I started reading, I tried initially reading Christian books, people who are questioning God. Um, I read a book that, that really changed my life. Um, oh my gosh, now the title, it
Yeah, we
wasn't,
need to know the book.
I know. I read Disappointment with God first, which I I have the book behind me, uh but then I read, what is it called? The Denial. Shoot, it'll come to me. Anyway, in the book he explains why people need faith because of fear. And he said, animals don't experience fear until they are in present danger, until like a lion is standing in front of them and they experience fear. Humans are conscious, and so we can experience fear every single day of our life constantly, because we understand that death is inevitable and it's going to come for us, or anything bad could happen to us. So in order to alleviate that fear, we needed to of death, we needed to come up with a solution of eternal life. And so we created religion to alleviate our anxiety. And that woke me up. And I was like, oh my God, am I using religion as a crutch for my anxiety? and my fear.
Wow.
So I decided not to. I decided if I can't do this with love and joy, then I don't want to do it. Uh, it's been 20 years. It's been a 20-year journey since my daughter died. And now, to be honest with you, Allison, there are some days I feel Christian, some days I feel Buddhist, some days I feel pantheistic, some days I feel atheist. And when I'm in my luteal phase, I am a nihilist for sure.
Okay.
But the
It's like
thing
the
that I
cafeteria of religions.
exactly, I lean into whatever's going to bring me comfort and peace that day, as long as it's not being used to weaponize and harm other people.
Help me understand your understanding of what that looks like today in our society.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. Yesterday, the Supreme Court just ruled with Donald Trump that we can ban transgender people from the military. I have done the research. Medical doctors have said there's no reason transgender people can't be in. Psychologists have said there's no reason. Former generals and admirals have said there's no reason they can't be in the military. Nonpartisan nonprofit studies have studied it and said we see no negative effect with transgender people in the military. Why are they not allowed to be in then? We have just eliminated 15,000 people from being in our military who wanted to protect us. And we sent them away because of bias, because of fear, because of lack of understanding, because of we have weaponized scriptures and spirituality and belief systems to discriminate against people that we just don't understand and that are different from us. That is
And I
one way.
understand. Yeah, I understand you have a transgender son. Is that right?
I do. And thank goodness I have deconstructed, over my
Could you
journey. Because,
imagine?
oh my
Yeah.
God, I don't know. It would have been such a shock. Well, the death of my child was already a shock to my system, but I don't know if I would have been able to show up for him the way that he needed to show up, for me to show up for him if I had still been deeply impaired by indoctrination.
Do you feel like you believe in a higher power? Do you believe in God?
I do believe in a God. I do believe in a conscious being. I like to believe that, I tend to lean more pantheistic now. That
What does pantheistic mean?
Okay, so
I need to do a quick Google search, but I bet you can tell me.
yeah, it's super easy. That God, pan means kind of like everywhere.
Yeah.
Theism means God. So basically, it's kind of this belief that God or this conscious energy or being decided it didn't want to observe the world. It wanted to be the world. And it broke itself up into a trillion pieces, and everything is God, and everything is God experience. It's itself, and the universe, and what happens. So the purpose of life is simply to experience life and to, have a little bit of, to honor life and every living being, because everything has energy. And so it does sound a little frou-frou, So I hate how it kind of sounds because I'm really much more of a science girl. But that's the closest thing that brings me comfort to what is God and how does that fit into my knowing and my truth.
Yeah, I've got this burning question that I can't stop thinking about as you're talking. And I think about there are all of these studies and research that shows that we are far more likely to choose physical death over social death. meaning we are so driven by the need to belong to a group,
Yes.
to a community, to people. And when I think about you leaving this church, questioning it, being, and I know that you have a really large following on both TikTok and Instagram, maybe somewhere else, but you also get a lot of haters and, like you mentioned, of people that are really disappointed in you, that
Yes.
like, where do you find belonging and what does that mean to you?
Yeah, Brene Brown was really instrumental in this for me. You cannot belong and be your authentic self everywhere you go. So I had to either choose, like, am I going to belong and fit in and come onto this platform and be the obedient Christian girl that doesn't question anything? Or am I going to be my authentic self? The reason why I started my platform was because my transgender son had had his sixth suicide attempt.
Mm,
And as we were driving him around into his next inpatient rehab facility, he started telling me about all the thoughts that he had in his head. And I was like, oh, those are normal thoughts. I have those thoughts. Am I worthy? Do I belong in this place? Nobody likes me. Everybody has those thoughts. And he didn't believe me that everybody has those thoughts. And I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to do then. I'm going to go online on this thing called TikTok, which I had never been on before. I knew my kids were on it, and I thought it was just all kids. I was like, I'm going to go on here and talk to all these kids about all the crazy thoughts, intrusive thoughts that I have, and how I handle them, and what I'm learning, and using all the therapy I've been in and the books that I read, because I am a self-help junkie. you know,
okay.
I will confess that for sure. I'm addicted to personal growth. And because I really feel like this might be the only life that I get to live, and I want to live it the best for me. It's different for everybody, but for me, how do I live the best? So I went onto the platform and I said, I need 4 followers, my 4 kids. That's all I need. Because if y'all
Okay.
don't want to listen to my
Yeah.
life lessons in person,
Set that bar
maybe,
low.
yeah, maybe I'll pop up on your For You page and you'll
Right.
get a life lesson real quick. I
That's
just need
funny.
4 followers. Well, it ended up blowing up because I show up as my authentic self and I say, oh my God, I'm dealing with this. I'm struggling with this, or this is how I'm overcoming this, or I know the books say I should do this and I don't want to fucking do it because it sucks and it's hard. And I just talk about my journey and what I'm learning. And there's really nothing I'm afraid to discuss. There are things I can't discuss because my children would kill me.
Okay.
Because I really, really, once they all graduate from high school, girl, there's going to be a lot more talk about sex on my
Oh,
platform.
no.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yes. I used to be, a sex ed teacher. So it doesn't even, I have no shame. So everything is I'm okay to talk about.
But I
But
also think there is a value in truth, of just telling your truth, you
yeah.
know?
And what I say all the time is, look, I recognize that I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm a few people's shot of whiskey. And those are the people that, you know, I will find, you know. I People will find me who need me, and I will find people who I need as well. So ironically, I went onto the platform not caring if I belonged, but now I have this community. Facebook actually is the biggest platform for me, but I have this community of like 500,000 people that are like, yeah, me too, girl. And that's what we need. That's what makes us feel belonging, that we feel seen and understood and heard.
Yes, and I'm thinking a lot about judgment, that you
Yeah,
have had a lot of judgment towards you.
I have.
It must be challenging to not judge others as well,
Oh,
especially when they are slinging so many arrows at you.
I do catch myself judging people. And then I remind myself, bitch, you were there. You were that girl 20 years ago. You would have been judging you, you know?
Uh-huh.
So, it is what it is. And when I get really hateful comments, mostly from men, I just tell myself,
From men. Why from
oh,
men?
because I empower women. Because I tell women that they don't have to have sex with their husband, even if their husband manipulates them into it. I show women what abuse is and how to get away from abuse. Um,
Wow.
I tell women, to question church authority, and men don't like that because they are the church authority, you know. Um, Anytime I talk about my transgender son, I get literal death threats.
No.
Yes, they say that I have groomed my son to be a pedophile and that I did this and I groomed this and allowed this. Are you fucking kidding me? Who would wish that on their child? Nobody would wish that on their child and want that. But anyway, so I just pretend that they're 13-year-old boys, that they're my friends, my son's 13-year-old friends that are just brains haven't fully developed, and ironically, that generally is the case. They might not be physically a 13-year-old boy, but emotionally they are stuck in a 13-year-old boy's emotional capabilities because they have not broken out of the conditioning that we've all been conditioned to believe of how we need to be. And I just refuse to fit some stupid mold. You know,
Yeah.
I am a mixture of um, Marilyn Monroe, Amy Schumer, Martha Stewart, AOC. Like, why can't
Okay.
I be all those four different types of,
Right.
personalities? Like, I can do it, all of that. I want to not ever have to fit into a box. I know that when people look at me, I live in the reddest county in North Carolina. Okay. Reddest county. Everyone around me is MAGA. And I'm as blue as they come.
Yeah.
And
That's gotta be hard too.
it is challenging. But I also used to be that. So I have grace for it. I understand it. I understand where they're coming from. But I still am going to live my authentic self, you know? And I appear, I say I'm MAGA presenting. I look like a white
MAGA
Republican woman,
presenting.
you know?
Okay.
I look long blonde hair, gaudy jewelry, former pageant queen. Like, I know that I look a certain way. Why? Why can't I look that way?
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
can't I just can be whoever the hell I want to be?
It's
And
so interesting because when I see your posts and the things that you teach about, like you are truly teaching and you are teaching and exposing things like misogyny, patriarchal stuff, spiritual manipulation. Do you feel that that is your God-given purpose to help awaken people if they are interested or feel like they might be in a situation that is not really serving them?
that has always been my heart. I mean, that's why I wanted to be a pastor and a missionary. I've always wanted to help people. Mostly, this is going to make me emotional because I needed people to help me. You know, the reason why I became the way I was, my third grade teacher, Miss Campbell, came to me and said, "You're a really smart little girl,
Hmm.
and we're going to put you in the A level class. That's where you belong." She saw something in me and helped me level up. And that it was a drastic change in my life, that, oh, I am worthy. There is something, unique about me, or any, it was just, growing up in a big family. It was so nice to be seen and recognized and seen as smart, not just pretty, not just cute, but smart. And there were many, it was the teachers. Sorry. It was my school teachers that saved me.
Mm.
And although I did go on to be in this cult, they still gave me that baseline of have some critical thinking skills, darling. It's okay to think about things. It's okay to research things and look into things. So by the time I was 28, I was out. I was able to dig myself out alone.
You didn't have support then. Did you find people that could help usher you through this really tough time? And your husband at the time, I'm assuming.
Oh, I did it pretty secretly.
Wow.
I had the one friend who introduced me to Rob Bell, her cousin, and then it was pretty much a secret journey for me. There was no big social media for me at this time. This we're
Yeah.
talking about the very early 2000s.
Yeah.
My daughter died in 2005, 2004. And so I was secretly reading and going to the library, and getting books and learning. Um, so yeah, a lot of that journey was on my own. And when I would talk about it to my friends and family members at the time, very all involved in the church, they didn't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
So we moved. We moved from Cleveland to Charlotte, North Carolina. And I saw this as an opportunity to reinvent myself and to create a community of women just for being a community of women, you know. And that's what I have done ever since. Now I have a group here in Charlotte called Soul Sisters, and we have over 1,000 women in the group, and
Wow.
they can connect with one another. I invite them all to come to my house Tuesday night, every other Tuesday night, and sit around and smack talk and talk about whatever we want to talk about,
Yeah.
Sometimes it's politics, sometimes it's relationships, sometimes it's parenting, whatever is heavy on our hearts. I have always built community with women, probably because I grew up in a house full of women, sisters, and I love my sisters. And um, I just redefined myself. I didn't really talk about religion with anybody. I We mostly focused on parenting and coming together over our children and forming these play groups and women's groups and stuff. And that was what I needed at the time. But eventually, once my kids got older and became teenagers, I needed deeper. And especially when I got divorced, I needed deeper relationships
Yeah.
and to be able to have women that I can talk to and question things. Even if we don't agree, we can still question things together, explore ideas together. Oh, well, this might be your blind spot here. But women have always been my salvation.
Mm. And it sounds like you've created space for other people as well. And even through engaging, like I noticed that people will ask you questions and you'll answer them in a full TikTok post and tag them. Like you're literally having a living and breathing conversation with
Yeah.
your audience of just the back and forth in that. I think it's beautiful. I'm wondering, do you feel free?
Oh, liberation. Yes. 100%. I feel that, I can say anything, I can do anything, I can explore anything, I can question anything right now. And I really hope that that continues. But what is the most freeing thing for me is that I am free from having to have all the answers.
Mm.
I am free from having to figure it all out, to having to know how everything works, how everything goes, how I need to live exactly and how I need to be. I'm free from all of that. And now I can just experience.
Wow. I wonder where you find your grounding.
Oh, probably in the fact that who the fuck cares? You know, like, like I was so delusional before. I was hoodwinked, deceived, lied to, made to be small, to
Yeah.
submit, to not question. And breaking free from that and not giving a fuck anymore about how I'm perceived. I no longer, and this was a big thing for me, I no longer have to be understood by people anymore. That was something that I really
That is
needed.
liberating.
Yeah, it is liberating not to have to be feel understood. Um, not everybody's going to like me. Why would they? I don't like everybody, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So people have free will. If you don't like me and don't like what I say, great. Move along. Find your community. You know? It's okay. We're all different, and I think that's what makes the world so beautiful.
Yeah.
That
What do
we're
you
all different.
know? Yeah. What do you know that you wish other people could know?
Question everything. I really wish people started questioning everything more. Uh, to dig deeper, to find out why. My mama used to get so mad at me growing up because every time she would tell me no, I'd be like, why? I'm such a why girl. And of course she would give me, because I'm your mom and I told you so, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was determined when I had kids, I would never say that to my kids. I would explain to my kids as age appropriate as I possibly could. Sometimes when I couldn't do it age appropriate, I would just say, I will tell you when you turn 16, you know, but
Yeah.
I'm never going to like not tell you. So I think knowledge is power. And I think if we question things more and dig a little deeper, we'll find out what that belief is really hidden on. Usually it's hidden on fear, fear of being misunderstood, fear of
Mm.
being seen, fear of being judged, you know? And the truth is, you know, especially being on social media, are there a lot of people that don't like me and that troll me? Yes. Are there also equally as many people that love me and we've built community and friendship? Yes. Okay, so why am I going to sit and worry about the people that don't like me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's To me that's counterproductive. That does nothing. It's not beneficial at all. I don't give a fuck.
Well, I think there's such a benefit. I think there are so many people that have really powerful things to say and they don't when they could help somebody else because they're so afraid of being judged.
They
And
are.
I applaud you for boldly sharing your heart and your experience. I feel like we've been on a roller coaster of emotions just in the past 50 minutes together, you know?
Yes.
How do people get in touch with you or work with you? You have a lot of offerings.
Yeah. So I have my platforms are called Hope. It's called Hope with Holly. That really is my goal. I want to give people hope. You know, I believe in life mastery, where it's the process of taking control of your life and making it what you want it to be and creating a life that you love so much that you ain't going to let any motherfuckers come in and fuck it up. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And if they go there, they can click on the link in my bio. And I have written a workbook called the Dating and Self-Discovery Workbook. It's what I used as a former desperate bitch who got dick drunk all the time and stayed in bad relationships for too long, in order to discover who I was, to fall in love with who I am, figure out what my goals and values are in life, and then figure out what kind of partner I wanted, because you can't aim at a target that you don't see. So, and there's also lots of dating strategies in there that I use to help me find my beautiful, amazing, wonderful partner. He is, I call him Mountain Man, because he looks like a mountain. And girl, you know, I like to climb a mountain. So, yes.
Holly, you are so fun. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us and sharing your incredible story. I am cheering you on and can't wait for other people to find you.
Thank you for having me, Allison.
Wasn't Holly amazing? If you haven't already, go follow her anywhere at Hope with Holly. Leaving behind the belief systems you were raised in, especially when they come with a ready-made community, identity, and rules for being good, all of this is in air quotes. It takes a lot of guts, and it's the kind of grief no one prepares you for. But Holly's story is proof you don't have to stay small or silent to stay safe. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to think for yourself. And you're still worthy of connection, even if you no longer check all the boxes. And if this episode made you feel something, share it. Send it to the friend who's questioning, the one who's wrestling, or the one who left and doesn't know where they belong yet, or the one that's like me who just loves talking about cults. Let's normalize the courage it takes to ask better questions. If you liked today's episode, there are several ways to support the show. I produce this show myself, so it helps me continue to make it. First, please rate and review the show on the platform where you listen, and consider sharing this episode with a friend or five. That's how it grows, by sharing these ideas. Second, please sign up for my email, where I send out a short personal note to you every week, and always with a sprinkle of snark and some best finds. You can sign up at AllisonHare.com/email. As always, thanks for listening and hanging out with me in the Reinvention Room.